Hey, this is Nick Lee from Moontooth, and you're listening to the Vulgar Display of Podcasts.
Welcome back to the Vulgar Display of Podcasts. We are joined over the phone right now by a very special guest, Nick Lee from Moontooth. How's it going, Nick?
Hey, man. Good. How are you guys?
We're doing good.
Great. Yeah, things are great.
I think we reached out maybe one of our early episodes where we talked about some bands that we were into that are, I would say, newer or definitely active and relevant. You guys' name came up. We are fans. With our podcast, with the Vulgar Display of Podcasts, what we're kind of known for doing is picking some of our top 3 songs or drummers, and that's kind of, I think, even how you guys were mentioned on 1 or 2 of our past episodes. So if you're okay with it, we've picked a couple songs, and we're going to play a little bit, and then maybe ask you a few questions about it, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Dale, you want to talk about yours?
Yes, to say that I am absolutely in love with the Conduit.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks, man. That song, actually, Ray, our drummer, wrote the lines there of the riffs in that song.
I read another article that he just laid down the whole song.
Yeah, it had everything but the bridge and the vocals. And once the vocals started going, I got the bridge together. But yeah, that was all like Ray's song that he really sculpted around this pedal, the Zvex Fuzz Factory, which just has this really, just totally fucked, just gated, awful, like noisy fuzz, but it just sounds super heavy. And he was just, the original demo he did was just that thing through a DI, and it just sounded so weird, heavy. So it was kind of just built around that guitar sound.
I was going to ask you about that because it actually sounds like there's an octave pedal on it, or there's like 4 layered tracks on it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the whole thing has, like the Fuzz Factory, and then an octave down doing the same thing. We probably just used the Pitchfork 4, but yeah, I don't even remember. There's a lot of guitars on that song.
And the reason I ask is it just sounds huge.
Yeah, it does. And I love the choppy intro, that meh, meh, meh. I love it. It drew me right in. I love it. Well done.
Yeah, we hadn't really done a song that was real glitchy fuzz like that, so it was fun to do. I mean, we definitely like a lot of like kind of weirdo stoner rock stuff, and
yeah,
that kind of fuzzy hard rock stuff that we've touched on before. But that song kind of like, we were going for more of like Queens of the Stone Age, or there's a band called the Netherlands from Brooklyn who are really sick, and their guitar player Timo is like a master at just the a lot of, it almost sounds like synth. It's just super heavy fuzzy guitar kind of thing.
What I really love about you guys is, and I even love your Instagram handle, it's Moontooth Shreds, right?
Yes.
Like that you are totally ripping on guitar, but it's just all these like super melodic singing over the top of it and hooks. So it's real catchy, but it's real shreddy too.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, we had just always had like kind of me and Ray, our drummer, have been playing together since we were young, like 13. So we always kind of had like a healthy competition going of like who could come up with the crazier thing. And we love like kind of grew up on Van Halen and Pantera and things that were, of that nature, where everybody's kind of, working. Nobody's like taking it easy. Everybody's got to like play some hard riffs, have some chops, but but still have songs. Most importantly is the songs.
So my pick, the guys always give me hell because I can't pick one. The song that really, I think, was one of the first ones I heard from you guys is All at All Angles. And, want to talk about a riffy but super catchy song. And I think there's, at least on Spotify anyway, it's your most downloaded or streamed song. Would you say that's one of your most popular songs?
Oh, definitely. A lot of our songs take, pop chord progressions, and I use that as the bed to write riffs. Kind of learned early on that our singer John does really well with that kind of thing. He just can write much more rich melodies and catchy things. When we do like real thrashy tech metal stuff, that kind of leaves him with less options melodically. There's like less room for him to to fit things in. But yeah, that's usually the if not the closer, like the song before the last song.
Yeah.
Oh, nice, solid.
And then the other one I picked was "Carry Me Home," and I love this blue amp version that you guys put out.
Yeah, so we had done an acoustic EP of some of the songs off of Crux, and we did like an acoustic live session during the pandemic, like quarantine, and we couldn't play shows, and we wanted to do an acoustic thing for a long time, and then Pure Noise Records got behind it, and we're stoked about it. And then so when this record came out, an idea to just help promote the new songs and just do something fun was to do alternate versions of a few.
Mm-hmm.
So we did an acoustic version of Nymphaeaceae, and then
That's how you say it.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I know.
I've been trying for months.
And we're getting pretty good at titles that people don't know how to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for this one, we were just like kind of real burnt on doing acoustic stuff. And when I wrote the song, I was trying to do like Hendrix and Almonds and Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of like style riffing.
Nice.
And that's so like when the alternate version idea was coming around, it was like, well, why don't we just do it, you know, full on kind of ZZ Top, Southern rock kind of thing. And yeah, it was just really fun. And we just called it Blue Amp version because that's an amp that Ray built in the studio. It's like supposed to be like an old school Marshall Plexi.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And we ran it through like a Fender 215, like Stevie Ray Vaughan used to. You know, we were just trying to go for that sound as best as we could do and make something a little looser. It was just for fun. You know, I mean, there were moments where we were like, should we do this? Is this going to be really confusing for people? But I think that, you know, we just kind of trusted, like, people get it, that it's just kind of an experiment. And just kind of seeing if the songs, like with the acoustic stuff, like if the songs could kind of hold their own, you know, without the fucking heavy guitar sounds and stuff like that and big crazy sounding drums, like make sure that they could kind of, there's still a song there when you strip all that away.
I think you guys nailed it. I mean, to me, and I love the guitar tone on that. It sounds like a tube amp that's really warmed up and kind of being pushed to the max there. And then on Anthony's list is Alpha Hal.
I cannot get enough of that song right now, and that video is absolutely crazy. Goodfellas theme, right? You guys kind of mirrored that, a few scenes from there?
Yeah, we had like this very serious idea for a music video that everybody was kind of like ho-hum about, and like yeah, I think this is cool, I think. And then we had a bunch of beers one night, and we're just kind of like riffing, and like that idea was just the funniest idea. And then the more that we could, you know, we started thinking about Ray's partner at his studio that he owns, Anthony, played like my mother in the video, and it just became funnier as we went on. And you know, we're like, you know, 4 Italian Americans from Long Island, so you know, it was just kind of like, it was real on the nose, kind of just making a joke about ourselves, because we get that joke all the time when people are like, you got a Carbone and a Romanelli.
Might as well just be the Goodfellas, huh?
Yeah, it was funny. I saw, I think it was your Instagram or your Facebook page or something posted it, but there was actually like a side-by-side comparison of some of the scenes, and it was like, yep, that's
spot on.
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah.
You guys put in the work to kind of nail some of those scenes that I'm guessing that took a little bit.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I've seen that movie so many times that like it was
Sure.
actually not that hard. I'm not like whenever I have to act in a music video, it always just feels super fucking awkward and weird. But that one was like pretty easy, just to pretend to be Joe Pesci.
Right. Probably been quoting it for
It's
years
not like
and
he
years,
really
huh?
needed the dialogue, but
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Flynn is, I think that was like maybe number 9 or number 10 for music videos he's done for us, and he was like just really on the ball. Like he just kept checking, you know, the footage on his phone to make sure that his angles were like perfect, and you know, we were just constantly kind of checking as we went to make sure like our faces were similar and stuff. But yeah, we shot it in like, I don't know, probably about 8 hours or something like that, but a few different locations. Tom had rented a Cadillac from somebody, which we lucked out with. It was like I think a 1981, early 80s Cadillac that only had like 12,000 miles on it.
Oh,
so the
wow.
guy was like, the guy was like, you know, where are you taking this thing and what are you doing with it? And he was a little nervous, but
It's been
he ended up
sitting
being
in
really
some
cool.
garage
Yeah,
somewhere
right.
for years.
Right.
Probably just comes out for car shows and stuff.
I'm sure, yeah.
But yeah. So that we just kind of lucked out. It was really fun to do, and we definitely had a moment of being like, people gonna get this at all? But it ended
Right.
up working out.
Sure.
You know, I think the funny videos are usually the ones that people want to come back to, and you know,
More
there's something
drawn.
to talk about.
Yeah, drawn to them.
I heard something you said in an interview recently that really stuck out to me. You said, with all the band thing and the touring and making music, you just want the band and that whole experience to be basically want to take life experiences away from it.
Yeah, I mean, it became clear pretty early on that, like, if we were going to stick to just making the kind of like, like to us, we're making, catchy rock songs, but, to the rest of the world, it seems like there's, it's a little confusing for people, and I get it. Like, it doesn't fit really in what's popular right now. And it kind of just became clear, like, okay, this is not going to be necessarily like overnight, fucking Madison Square Garden, fucking making hundreds of thousands of dollars per gig. It's like this is going to be a long road, and that's that just is okay with me, because it's like it's fun, and the four of us have been friends a really long time and get along really well. We all hope that one day this is all we have to do,
Sure.
to survive. But at the same time, it's like getting paid in life experience is worth it. And there's just something about like keeping like things moving forward and keeping momentum. And like that's really important. Like sometimes it's like uncomfortable to take a step in a direction that's better for the future, for the band. But it's like always worth it to just keep changing it up, working with a different producer, or just taking a chance on a tour that maybe we don't necessarily fit on, things like that, where it's like just keeping it interesting and exciting keeps everybody stoked, where it's like if we just kept doing the same things over and over again and
You like run together and become, everything's the same day and boring.
Yeah, it's kind of like just saying yes to everything just to see, because even if it's not a great experience, it'll add,
It'll be for a good
character.
story anyway. Yeah, character, exactly.
Just like kind of learn a lesson from it.
And you guys did change up your recording process on this one, right?
Yes and no. We worked with Josh Wilbur as a producer, and we had gotten his contact through Mark Morton from Lamb of God, who worked on our previous record, Crux. And Mark told us that he was interested, and he has like a pretty serious resume.
Yeah.
Like
How-
Lamb,
how-
obviously, and
How
Gojira,
good does that feel to say? Yeah, just Mark Morton from Lamb of God.
Yeah. No, I know it's still weird for me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of like we did work with Mark and Machine, we also knew through working on Lamb of God records
Sure.
and Clutch records and
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah, like a similar thing kind of happened with that, where he was kind of out of the blue, and we were like, well, we can't even debate that this is a good idea. Up until that point, we had just done everything ourselves. Ray, our drummer, has produced and mixed and engineered all of our records at his studio, which is called Westfall Recording Company. But yeah, what happened with that is that we had started pre-production, and then logistics and the label that we were talking to at the time and money at the time, it just didn't work out. So Machine didn't get to actually track or mix any of it. We just did pre-production for Crux. And then this time around, we got another step further towards working with somebody, and that he did end up tracking vocals and mixing it. But we did all of the instrumentals at Ray's studio. We did guitar, bass, and drums. Some of the vocals, most of that was done in California with Josh Wilbur. But yeah, I mean, the main difference is that Josh mixed it pretty much. And was a big kind of, I don't know, like a step, again, like a little uncomfortable, because it's like that's what Ray does for a living, and he prides himself on his mixes, which are killer. But it's like, why not try something different and just see what happens? We're not like, we have another record or two ready to go right now if we really wanted to buckle down and do it. So just see like an exciting, it just made things, a little bit more interesting and exciting, because there's always that fear of like, well, what if it gets fucked up? But
right.
obviously,
Take that
but
leap.
no, we're really stoked on what Josh did with it. And when we work with Machine and Mark, and then working with Josh, you just learn things. You just get that, you get kind of paid in experience and knowledge. Go forward with that, kind of just knowing what that's like, and you're just getting people's perspective. And you could be definitely in your own little insular bubble when you're just like the four dudes in the band talking about everything, and kind of lose perspective really quick when you're just constantly just the four of you working on the thing together. So when somebody comes in and kind of goes like, hey, this could be better, it's fun to go, oh, well, fuck you. Yeah, I can come up with something better.
Right.
And then you do. And it's like, all right, cool. This
that
riff
works.
is more exciting now. You were right.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're like, no, we're good, But for the
think
most
we'll leave
part, we took their ideas and put them through our filter, and then you have the record. But the songs don't change their shape as much. It's just like introducing just exciting possibilities here and there.
So, you brought up Machine. I had read that he actually saw you guys on tour with Fit for an Autopsy and reached out personally and wanted to work with you.
Yeah, we were on that tour in 2017 with Fit for an Autopsy and Tombs, and Pat from Fit was like, "Hey, Machine wants to talk to you, about doing your next record." And I thought he was fucking with me at first.
You're like, shut up.
He linked us up, and we talked on the phone, and he was just really stoked on it. Actually, the guy, his name is Julian, who works underneath Machine at the Machine Shop in Austin. We were buddies. We played with his band Chronologist in Boston and just stayed friends. So I think he turned him on to us, and then he got in contact with us through Will Putney and then through Fit for an Autopsy. And so, yeah, that was a trippy phone call.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
we got along really well. Like he's real intense, very animated, and very, very, like, he has a lot of energy behind what he does and his ideas. So it can be intense at first to talk to him about stuff. But yeah, and then he did come to the last show at Knitting Factory in Brooklyn on that Fit for an Autopsy tour, and that's where we actually met in person.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So some of these tours you've been on tour with and you are on tour with, like heavier bands, and maybe some of the crowds haven't heard you or your style. Are you finding that they're pretty receptive to what you guys do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that we bring a lot of energy live, so even if it's not your thing, you still have a good time watching the show. Also, we toured with, Fit for an Autopsy and Tombs, where we were definitely not, the least heavy band on the tour. I mean, I thought we were going to get eaten alive on that one, but people were pretty open-minded and cool to us. I don't remember anybody heckling us or talking shit or anything
throwing
stupid
bottles
like that.
and everything. Yeah.
No, nothing like that. Maybe if we toured with like Slayer or something, we
Yeah,
get
right,
that. But,
right, sure.
no, people are really cool. I think that, like, in general, like the lines between death metal and hardcore and prog and all that kind of shit, like, people are a little more open-minded than they were 10, 15 years ago, where it's like everybody's a little into everything. I just saw Knock Loose and Animals as leaders and fucking Dance Gavin Dance on the same stage, like, in a row yesterday, and
Yeah.
all the kids were really stoked on every band, and we are too, so I think that it might be like catchy and poppy and rock, but it's got some fangs to it, and we're very, very loud.
Yeah.
So we'll get by at metal shows, and we kind of just grew up doing that. Like, every show on Long Island is like, not every show, but a lot of them would be like death metal, hardcore, somewhere in between, and then we'd be like the weirdo kind of stonery band.
And I'll speak for me that sometimes when I'm at a show like that where all the bands have a similar sound, and then there's one band that has a different or a unique sound, sometimes it's a little bit of a breath of fresh air.
Right. It's like a breather that you want.
Yeah, it's sometimes a little bit of break from the norm that's exciting for me anyway.
Yeah, I want to go to a show where I see, different types of music. I mean, that's more, I don't know, just more interesting the whole time. It's just like,
Variety.
I love death metal, but if I see 5 death metal bands in a row, I'm going to be pretty burnt on it by the end.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So we love to do that. I mean, and we can kind of like, we fit in and don't fit in at the same time with everything we do. So we've supported Thank You Scientist, they're, yes, very progressive, more, I don't know. I mean, even just, they were covering like Stevie Wonder and stuff, and
Oh boy.
doing just doing stuff that was very much not fit for an autopsy.
Yeah.
And, but that tour went really well for us too, and we were kind of the heavy band on that tour. And I don't know. I think, like, and we don't try to like curtail the set list to the audience or anything like that. And it's just is what it is. Not to say we don't have bad shows, but most of the time it's not because the bands we're playing with. It's just because someone's shit's not working and normal shit.
So we have Nick Lee from Moontooth with us. You got to follow them. You got to find them out on tour. And I can't let you go without asking about your beer, though.
Oh, yeah. So Thin Man Brewery just put out a beer called the Phototroph IPA, which is the name of the new album coming out, Phototroph. And we just got to finally try it. Actually, they mailed us some at Swanfest, and it's great. Like, even if you're not an IPA guy, it's like pretty mellow, but it's delicious and gets the job done.
Awesome.
I know a guy, Mike D, who we know from Long Island. He was at a Barrier Brewing and had done a beer for us before. for the last record, and I reached out to him, see if they were interested again. He said that he'd moved on to Thin Man, but that they were even more interested and would do cans, and because they had done a beer for Every Time I Die, and they did a beer for Mastodon.
Oh, cool.
I think they're still just kind of working out the legal stuff on the distribution end, make sure all the fully legal to distribute to wherever you want. But it's great though, and it should be available to order wherever soon. I mean, we're going to try to get it to some of the shows at the end of this tour if we can. But yeah, man, it's awesome.
So that's Thin Man Brewery, and it's actually got your album cover on the beer, right?
Yeah, the cover that the artist Caroline Harrison did is on the beer can. It looks sick.
Yes, it does. And I love the album art to where it's, all colorful and pretty up above, and then, the darker sepia tones or whatever underneath. It's super cool artwork that you guys have, and love that everything that you guys are doing. Nick Lee for Moontooth, we appreciate you. We appreciate you calling in, man.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Oh, yeah, guys, thank you for having me.